Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
What if the greatest threat to your business isn't your competition, but it's the knowledge that walks out of the door every day? And what if artificial intelligence isn't here to replace people, but it's here to preserve their wisdom, strengthen their organization, and create a business that can thrive long after any one individual is gone? Welcome. Today, we are exploring how leaders can transform decades of experience into a lasting legacy. Our show today is The Success Blueprint, and I'm your host, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. We have an outstanding guest who's joining us from the UK today and who is an expert in this area. My guest's name is Penny Hopkinson, an internationally recognized business consultant, author, AI innovator, and the founder of Manual Magic AI. Let's welcome Penny to the show and dig in a little bit more into Penny's background. Hello, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. I'm delighted to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And Penny, you spent more than 40 years studying how organizations operate and how knowledge is transferred. And you and I were just talking backstage that if anyone wants to find you, all they have to do is put your name in and they are going to get a plethora of information about all of the ways that you've been out there helping other people. If you had just 1 minute, Penny, to convince every business owner who is watching at this moment or in the future that they're already losing one of their most valuable assets, what would you tell them? And what is happening without most leaders realizing it?
I would tell them to document all their information, catalog it, and make sure that it is available to be shared. Because the knowledge that is in your head can walk out of the door, and you could lose your most valuable employee. To the competition, perhaps, they may have decades of experience and you haven't recorded it. And everybody says, well, it would have been great to have asked Mike, but Mike is no longer there. He is feeding all the information to your competitor.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Penny, it reminds me of when I was in corporate. I retired in 2020. And at some point, we started using Salesforce.com, which is a CRM platform. And we were asked to put all the information about our prospects, our clients, into this database. And there were people in the company who had been there for a very long time and absolutely refused to do so. And the leadership said, well, if you don't do it, then we're going to have to let you go. And it sort of was like a stalemate because you have this person with so much experience. And by the way, the relationships with the clients. So what are your thoughts on how we can motivate people within the organization to be receptive to putting the information into an LMS or some other platform?
Well, I think the key to it is innovation and engagement, because one of the key issues is we've got this wonderful system, but nobody uses it properly. They just go their own way. And if you don't follow the process, I don't mean being in a straitjacket, you don't get anywhere. So what I would do is get them to create the material with their teams. Let me give you an example. In franchising, the whole concept is that the system is replicated faithfully. Nobody goes in on a business review to a franchise site and says, now, what little changes have you made that have made the difference to running your business more smoothly? Because you're not supposed to. But that is leaving money on the table. It's all part of continuous improvement. So what we do is say, have a monthly leaderboard and get everyone involved in voting on the little innovation that is made in business across the network, across the company, and the best one is rewarded, and then that goes to the annual one, and there is a substantial prize for that, and the team to whom the innovator belongs gets a substantial amount of money towards a training program of their choice. So get everybody competing for those little innovations. In Japan, it's known as Kaizen. It's the art of making small steps, making a mighty difference.
I love that. Thank you. I know in the business that I was in, we sold reward and recognition programs. So it's also interesting how you can motivate people, do this and that and get points, and you can earn the watch and the fabulous grill. So you and your team help people take information and put it into standard operating procedures so that there's not money walking out the door. And I think for some people, it might be very easy to understand where there is potential for money to be walking out the door. But there are other areas of the business that maybe even as a business owner, we don't see this. We don't see breakage. We don't see places where little small lack of attention is actually costing us a lot of money. Can you share some of those areas with us?
Well, I think the most obvious one is wastage. You're running a QSR, a restaurant business, and there's a huge amount of wastage. Something goes wrong, it's replicated, and nobody realizes. Or a member of staff says, oh, well, yeah, I'll just use a little bit more of this. Or, oh, I'll heap a little bit more on that plate. Portion control is absolutely vital. And there are a lot of things that can be done to prevent accidents and incidents. Also, customer engagement. There are these tiny little things that people don't realize. And how about having a risk assessment for the most obvious things? For example, there's a forklift truck and it needs to move supplies from store to store. But unfortunately, those there aren't any little warning signs around to say, beware of it. I mean, there's just lots of little tweaks, little things that you can do that make the big difference.
Thank you, Penny. And you work with franchisors. And so for people who have businesses and they're thinking, you know what, how great would it be to have 2, 3, 4, 7, 10 of these businesses? And obviously you need some operational consistency in order to be able to do that. How does a business owner know, okay, I've created a successful business and this is replicable. I'm going to think about having a franchise system.
Well, I think if it is replicable, that means that there is a business system. You need a solid business system to be able to franchise your business. And it doesn't take a lot of imagination to realize that there's a big difference. For example, something that's just really good for the Christmas season may not be such a good business to replicate because what you do in the other seasons. Somebody once said, the yo-yo, Now that's using how to, if anybody can remember the old yo-yo, the way you use it is absolutely fine, but you need to have a system built around it. So the obvious ones are restaurants, care providers, health spas, all the kind of things that are really built on very solid systems that somebody can take and run it in exactly the same way. And that's, of course, where you need your operational knowledge captured, documented, and in different styles, because if you're a baby boomer, you will not learn in the same way as if you're Generation Z, and therefore the learning styles and abilities must be taken into account.
Thank you, Penny. So it sounds like when we're moving from one business, brick and mortar business or online, and we want to create a franchise setup, that it's not about the people, it's about the structure. And once you have standard operating procedures in place and you have structure, and the business owner has that discipline to create this model, then it's about plug and play with the people that you put into that, who you think will be able to follow these standards that you've created. Is that accurate?
That is absolutely true.
Fantastic. So you have created Manual Magic AI. Tell us, what is this and who can you help?
Manual Magic AI is an AI-powered platform for creating, structuring, and maintaining operational knowledge, SOPs, standard operating procedures, and operations manuals. And we provide them with an AI-powered operational knowledge sharing ecosystem that supports content creation, governance, distribution, training, compliance, and continuous improvement.
For many people, those words that you just described might be causing alarm, because we operate from a place of fear many times as a business owner. It's almost like, how much more can I possibly take on? So thinking about how AI can actually assist with a business, I'm looking into this myself as well, because I only have so many hats I can wear and so much time and so much I can outsource before you really think about how can I bring AI in. So is this business, the Manual Magic AI, is it for someone like me? Is it for all types of businesses? I know you listed some specifically, but can any business take advantage of this if you have standard operating procedures and you have structure in place?
Absolutely. It was designed for solopreneurs up to multinationals. I mean, for example, there's a very well-known iconic franchise, particularly here, called Costa Coffee. And they have 4,000 outlets. So that's the extreme end. But as a solopreneur and somebody who wants to scale, that will make a huge difference. Let me give you a little illustration. When I was about to write my book, Manual Magic, Create the Operations Manual Your Franchisees Need to Succeed, I became very ill with COVID and I went into intensive care. And when I came out, I had 8 months of absolute brain fog. And I'm sure there's some listeners here who can identify with that. You actually can't function. It was unexpected. And of course, in those days, that there wasn't the vaccination program that we have. So I wasn't protected at all, and I was very badly asthmatic. I couldn't run the business. I couldn't write. Now, fortunately, I was at a stage where the business was perfectly all right. But just think, if you hadn't got anybody to run the business and you didn't have a set of standard operating procedures that were critical to the smooth running of the business that you could hand to a virtual assistant, your business might go under. What I call this having operational insurance. It's like an insurance policy that if something happens, you've always got those procedures up to date and operating smoothly.
I am breathing a sigh of relief just listening to you talk, because what you brought up are real issues. I know for me, I am leaving the country for a media tour in September, and I have to have all these processes in place to make sure that someone else is running the business and running it as effectively as I would be doing. So I'm very interested in what it is you're talking about today. As the business owner, how involved are we with the Manual Magic AI process?
I would say that you would need to be fully engaged with it. Now, Manual Magic AI is a private LLM, so it's like ChatGPT, but just for your business. And what it does is enables you to upload your intellectual property, all your know-how, which is usually scattered in loads of files, possibly a few post-it notes on the screen, and it's in PDF, Word documents, all over the place. What we do is formalize it first, then get it into different categories. There are 6 of them. And the AI automatically takes batches of 200 files at a time, sorts them into the categories, starts building the drafts. So it does about 80% of the heavy lifting. But, and this is a really, really important part, there is no LLM that is a substitute for your operational intelligence. Nobody knows your business like you do. No LLM, however good it is, has those nuances that make the difference, that distinguish you from your competitors and make you stand out. So we require 20% of your expertise to be amplified by AI. And we also have a wizard. It's known as Ask Your Wizard, very much in keeping with the magic. And it's trained on 40 years of my operational expertise and my database. So it can do gap analysis if you're a franchisor and you upload your franchise agreement. It'll tell you where the gaps are in your SOPs once you've created a full set. And it really is the means by which you can keep all your assets in one place and keep them updated.
Penny, can this also be used for an exit strategy, either if you're planning on selling your business or in case something should happen to you and you need your heirs to, or your beneficiary to know how to run your business?
Absolutely. There are 2 angles to this. If you're considering selling your business, to have a knowledge sharing ecosystem like this adds value to the sale. So you can command a higher price for that business. Also, the whole premise of it is that anyone can take the information that you have in the, let's call it an operational manual. In that manual, follow it and run the business. Because very often when a business is sold, it is acquired by a bigger business and the 2 need to be merged. So it saves that acquisitive business a lot of time, trouble, and effort, and is worth its weight in gold.
It's definitely going to be able to help people sleep at night. That is for sure. So when we come back from the break, I want to dig in a little more about your book. And is it the chicken or the egg? Do we contact you first? Do we read the book first? Do we read the book? How does that work? So let's take a moment. And actually, I'm going to be running a selfish plug for my new book, which I think ties in with what we're talking about today. It's called Stop Giving Away Your Value. Let's take a look and we'll be right back.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Vargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Welcome back to the Success Blueprint. If you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to both of our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Today, we are speaking with Penny Hopkinson in the UK, and we were talking about how Manual Magic AI is literally a savior for your business. Penny, what I mentioned before we went to the break is the fact that working with you can help someone who is putting together maybe potential sale of their business, an exit strategy, or someone who wants to replicate what they're doing in a franchise model. And you've also written a book, and we're going to be bringing up right now your book. And so what I'm wondering is, do people actually go and purchase the book first before they contact you? Manual Magic, create the operations manual your franchisees need to succeed? Or do they contact you first, or is it in tandem?
It can be in tandem. The book came out in late 2023, and I had no idea that AI was going to play such an important part in developing my three-step system. Quite a few people contact me having read it. Others perhaps don't know it exists, and they look at the possibility of subscribing to Manual Magic AI, and on there they can get a digital copy of the book. So in a way it goes in tandem, because the platform is built on the three-step system, and all the SOPs follow exactly the same category structure, exactly the same flow for the SOPs. The only thing that doesn't happen is Manual Magic AI hadn't been even thought of in concept when the book was published. So we do talk about other types of platform and LLM, L&D, all sorts of other knowledge sharing ways that are now no longer quite as efficient.
Thank you, Penny. What impact, if any, does it have about where the business is located? So I'm in the US, you're in the UK, does it matter? And then the second part of that is, if we want to expand outside of our own country, how can Manual Magic AI work with us in that capacity?
Right. First of all, it doesn't matter where you are. We have clients in the US, we have clients all over the world, and it doesn't make any difference at all. But what it does, the difference is that when you're creating the operations manual, you will need to make cultural changes according to the area of operation. So, for example, a very easy example is if you're running a food business and you're in the USA or the UK, for example, you can have a menu that probably takes in any type of meat, any type of product, any fish. However, if you're operating in the Middle East, then or the Arab world, you definitely won't be able to. So you'll have to have a variation, and that variation will need to be well documented. And also there are various very, very subtle nuances in doing business with other countries, and those need to be alongside the SOP that's created.
It's absolutely key to be working with someone like you who has knowledge and expertise in these areas. And what's coming up for me is I have two businesses, and I probably am missing the ball in some places that I don't even realize. So I work with you, and maybe it comes to light that some of the processes that I have in place are ineffective or could actually be optimized. Are you able to make suggestions, or do you refer us to a business consultant? How does that work when you see a process that isn't as effective as it could be?
You can work with us. I've run a company called Manual Writers International for nearly 40 years. And what we are doing with Manual Magic AI is providing a white glove service. So we can work with you from the start right up to whenever you feel that you have exactly what you need in place. So it's a very simple process, and you just contact me. Let's say you want an appraisal, a review of what you've currently got. We can do that. We can categorize and marshal all your know-how before you subscribe to Manual Magic AI. We can onboard you because the AI has to be trained in what you do, how you do it, your ideal target reader, and the tone you will address them in, because there are many different ways, of course, to be able to do that. So once we onboard, then we'll guide you through the first 10 SOPs. We'll be there if you want us for longer, but essentially you'll be up and away for your first 10 SOPs.
That's a relief. Thank you. I want to get into what an engagement with Manual Magic AI looks like. But first, my next question is, what if a person's business is their name and they're looking to franchise that? I was just reading a story. I think it was about Joe Malone fragrances, and we won't have to dive into that. But when you have a business with your name and then you're looking to franchise it, does that denigrate the value of it because it's in your own name?
I don't think it does, but what I think it needs, it must be a registered trademark. And I think if you were, let's say, John Smith, there may be other John Smiths who've got businesses that are equally registered, and you could find yourself in trouble there. But there really isn't a problem with this. We've got some very well-known names in the health and wellness and fitness space that have used their names, and they are they've had extremely successful franchises, because in many cases you are your brand. You know, the personal brand today is very, very important and valuable.
Absolutely. And I just want to reframe this for a minute for our audience. Think about wherever it is you go on a regular basis. Maybe you are a coffee drinker. Okay, I'm not, but people love their coffee and they go to one location with this well-known brand name, and then they're traveling and they go to another location with the same name. You want to have the same experience. And so if you don't have structure and discipline and standard operating procedures, that quality, that customer service experience might be totally different and have a huge impact on your business or the downfall of your business. So Penny, what does an engagement with Manual Magic AI look like in terms of the length of time? And then you mentioned the owner is giving at least 20% because they are key to making this whole thing a success. So how long is the engagement, or is it ongoing?
It can be ongoing. Obviously the ideal situation is being with a client all the way through the process. In the old days, when it was a manual situation where I would be engaged by a client and we'd work together, yes, we'd be creating PDFs and that was the sort of beginning of the digital age. It would take something like a year, 12 months to create a manual for a multi-site business, which is a long time. And I realized about 18 months to 2 years ago that it no longer works because people want the information instantly. So we've brought the process right the way down to probably 3 months. I mean, we've got a 70-site business on Manual Magic AI, and they are almost complete after 3 months. So we've brought it down by about 75%.
That's brilliant. And I love the fact, and what I've been hearing today is that you keep evolving. You keep looking at the business and how you're going to market and the services and the value that you're bringing, and you are continuously evolving. You've mentioned a few times about your 3-step system. Would you be able to share a little bit more about that for our audience?
Absolutely. A lot of people who start creating SOPs stare at a blank screen. And they don't realize that structure is everything. So the first part of the system, apart from knowing who your target reader is and being very clear about having a system that works and is replicable, is to create a very, very strong structure. And this is where my 6 categories come in. The introduction to your business. If you're a franchise, you'll have setup and support. You'll have your team. Then marketing and promotion, day-to-day operating requirements, and the one that everybody seems to forget is development, growth, and profit. Within that, you build your SOPs, and those also have a structure. And I believe it's very important for the reader to be able to automatically understand that structure. So that structure starts with an introduction to the SOP, minimum operating requirements, roles and responsibilities, then the SOP steps, the how-to, and finally additional tools and resources. And if everyone knows what they expect to see, then it makes everything much easier. So then we go on to the content. So once you've defined the structure, so for example, the AA driving school. Now the AA is a very, very well-known, iconic brand in the UK. and they have a driving school. And when we started this, I made sure that we had something like a 30-page structure, which was like, I think in the States you call it an index, we call it a table of contents. And you make sure that that is as developed as possible, so that when it comes to stage 2, which is applying the content, it is easy to put the information in and then edit it. So the third stage is the editing and publishing.
I feel like you and I have met for a reason, by the way. I was just reviewing on your website about your pricing model, which is very direct, and it's simple based seating is what I understand. And so there's an administrator pricing model, and then there's a reader pricing model. And I'm thinking for myself and my own business, and I'm just sharing this with other people out there, it's almost like spring cleaning. It's like, look into your business and what is it you have going on? You've got to get rid of some of those pants that are never going to fit. I'm sorry, those styles that we just can't wear anymore. And so you and I start working together. I start uploading files and screenshots and whatever other documents that are needed. And then everything is standardized and comes back into, I would imagine, a succinct place, an operations manual. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then based on that, that actually gives me the ability to offer positions, job functions for people who are, I'm going to plug and play into various places, instead of me sitting there going through, okay, first we're going to do this and now we're going to do that. It sounds like it's a win-win for everyone.
Well, you can also, with the information that you create for your SOPs, you can tag every SOP. So, for example, if you're a cafe and you, let's say, your franchise manager or just your owner manager, they need to know everything, but the barista or even a cleaner most certainly doesn't. So you can tag them so that they only read the information they're allowed to read.
Thank you, Penny. My last question today, because I could talk to you forever, this is really a fascinating topic for me, is how do we know our information is secure? And what is the AI going to do with it? I was just reading some article, which, by the way, before we make any decisions about what we read, we really should cross-check it at least with 3 places, right, to know it's even valid. But how do we know that the AI isn't going to take that information and share it somewhere else?
First of all, this is a private LLM. It's one place in the cloud, completely ring-fenced. No information can be leaked anywhere. The whole operations manual is built on your intellectual property and my database material. And nobody can see it other than the people that you authorize to do so. Even our developer can't see it unless there's a huge problem, which is very unlikely. I can't see it unless you invite me to be part of it. So it is completely safe. It's also white label, so your brand colors, your logo, for all intents and purposes, it is yours alone.
Thank you, Penny. I'm making a statement right now that I will be contacting you and looking to move forward in working with you, because I think this is, to me, this is woo, I can relax. I have peace of mind. I know that everything is standardized in a certain place. And again, for a business owner, I'm the eagle over the business, but I'm also in the business too. And so this is a huge time savings and a conservation of intellectual capital and everything that I personally have been working on for all these years. So thank you for that. I'm so glad to Mark Stephen Puller for introducing us, and I will be contacting you. For people who are out in the general public and are also all excited and they're saying, wow, let me contact Penny. We have all of your links for your websites, your LinkedIn, and also for your book on Amazon and on your website. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you, and who would you like to contact you?
I would absolutely love to be DM'd on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my center of everything that goes on. So if you connect with me and then send me a message, I will respond very quickly.
We have the LinkedIn up on the screen for people, and we also have the link here in the notes. So please do reach out. I have to say, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to meet you, and I'm really excited about collaborating with you on this project.
I'm absolutely delighted. This has been such an interesting conversation. And just one other little point, if you're an author, you can upload your book and imagine what you might get out of it in terms of standard operating procedures.
That's amazing. Absolutely. Well, I do believe everything happens for a reason, and you and I were brought together for this reason. So I will be reaching out to you later today and seeing how and when we can move forward. So thank you very much. I really appreciate everything you shared today. All right. As I mentioned before, I really believe everything happens for a reason. So when someone comes into your life, do you explore the possibilities of how you can collaborate? Or do you immediately take a step back and go, oh, I can't, I have too much going on? Are you the person who's constantly saying how busy you are? You've heard me say this before. Busy is a 4-letter word. It is a place where we hide. I'm so busy. Stop thinking about being busy and think about being productive. What Penny is sharing, if you are a business owner, this is something that is going to make your life so much easier. And by the way, who doesn't want to replicate and have franchises? That is an exciting thought. So I will be contacting Penny, as I mentioned today. All of Penny's information is there in the notes. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed something in our program today and you've learned something, please do consider subscribing to our YouTube channels. We have over 100,000 subscribers on USA Global TV and Radio, and we've earned the YouTube Silver Creator Award and over 41,000 on my personal channel, where we started a couple of years ago. Thank you again. We are going to close out with a message from one of our team members, Mr. Red O'Laughlin, who has 3 TV shows here every Thursday, and he's written a new book, and it's called Aging Sucks. Take a look.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Laughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
Every Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio, for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio, and that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.